Hi guys, welcome to this video. In this video, we're going to build a full Python web app using the Django framework. So the main purpose of this video is to show you the main features used in building most web apps. So we're going to talk about user authentication, which is the login and the registration. We're going to talk about saving data in our database. We're also going to talk about web scraping and some other features which you might use in most of your projects. So the project we're going to be building in this video, I named it GitHub profile images. So in this project, a user is going to be able to input the username of a specific GitHub user, and then it's going to get the image of that user and then save it to his image collection. So let me show you a demo of what we're going to be building. As you can see, this is a login page, simple login page. I can easily log in with my admin details. So now once I log in, you can see it says welcome admin. I'm going to show you how to do all this. And then it says add new profile image. So right here it says enter GitHub username. I'm just going to come to my page, copy my username, which is Tomitoko. That's my GitHub profile. And I'm going to paste it here. So once I click on submit, you see it says user Tomitoko image saved. Now once I come to images, it shows me the image which I already have saved. Now I can do this for multiple accounts. I can go to other people and just copy some username and then paste it and hit submit, and it's going to add their profile picture into my image collection. And then I'm also going to show you how to add the logout functionality. Once you log out, it comes there, and then we're also going to walk through the sign up, which is also the registration. So all this we're going to do in this video. And I want to say that the template which I use is just a simple bootstrap template. We're not going to be talking much about the front end. So you can get this template from the GitHub link below in the description. Having that said, I think we can dive straight into the tutorial. So to start with this project, the first thing we need to do is to make sure that we have Django installed. By doing this, we can just simply type pip install Django. So we're going to say pip install Django. Now if you have Django installed, it's going to tell you requirement already satisfied. As you can see, I have Django installed, so it shows me requirements already satisfied. But if you don't, you should go ahead and install it. And note that if you are in a Mac, you should type pip3 install Django. Now that we have this done, let's just go ahead and create our Django project. So let me say Django admin start project. Then let me name it GitHub. Let me say GitHub img. Now this is going to go ahead and create a boilerplate with all the Django files necessary for us to start our project. Now if I press dir, I can see that I now have a new folder there called GitHub img. Now let me opt into that folder. So now in that folder it's empty. Let's simply create, okay, it's not empty, it has the boilerplate, but in here we want to create a new Python or Django app. So we're just gonna say Python manage.py start app, and let's name it img. So that's gonna be the name of the app. Now it's also gonna create a new app. When I press dir, I see img there. So what we just need to do now is to go ahead and import this project in Visual Studio Code. So right here in Visual Studio Code, I'm just gonna click on open folder, and then it's gonna take me there. I'm just gonna go into that project and then select the folder. So now that I've done this, it's just gonna go ahead and open that project for me in my Visual Studio Code. So as you guys can see, the project is open now. So what I just need to do now is to set up my project. I like setting up the template and the static files first before doing anything. So let's just go ahead and do that. So in the root directory, I'm going to create a new folder and name it template. And I'm also going to create another folder and I'm going to name it static. So right here in the template, it's going to take all our HTML files in which we need for this project. So I have them here in this folder. So I need my index.html, my login, my sign up, and my images HTML template. Just gonna drag them and then paste them into template. As you guys can see, they are already pasted. And then the static in here. So what I'm just gonna do is to just copy this into the static folder. So I'm just gonna do like this. So right here in static, copy. What I'm just gonna say is copy folder. So as you guys can see, a new folder named vendor is under static. So now that we have this done, let's just go ahead into settings.py. The first thing we want to do is to make sure that we import our OS. And then after importing OS, we're going to scroll down. In installed apps, what we want to put there is the app, which is img. So we want to add our Django app to our installed apps. So I'm just going to scroll down here in templates. We want to add the template directory. So what this template does is that it tells Django where to look for all our HTML files. So anytime we want to render an HTML page, Django is going to go into the directory in which we are going to put now and then search for that HTML page. So we're just going to say os.path.join base there. From the base directory, it should look for a folder named templates. So this will simply tell Django it should go into this template folder and look for all our HTML files, which is correct. Now the next thing we want to do is to tell Django where to look for our static files. So let's just scroll down. Right here, we're going to say static root, static underscore root, and then it's going to be equals to os.path.join the base directory, and then let's say static files. Now let's now tell Django where to search for this our static. It's gonna be another variable, and we're going to name this one static files underscore theirs, which should be equals to os, a small letter, dot path dot join base there, and it should join with static. And then right here, we're just going to put a comma. So now this should take care of it. Let's just save this. Now that we have all these, what we just want to do is to do our URL routing. So let's specify the index page, the login, sign up, and the image. So we're going to come right here into our image, that's our image folder. We're going to create a new file and name it urls.py, and then let's say from django.urls import path, and then let's also say from this directory import views. And then what we need to do now is to say URL patterns should be equals to a list, which is path. So this is for the home, and it will be views dot index, and then let's give it a name of index. So for now, we don't have any function in our views called index, so we need to go into that views, come down here and say def, let's name it index, which will take a request, and then let's just say return render let's just simply render. Before we render, we're going to say request, and let's render our index.html page. So right here we have this, but if we go ahead and run this our app, it's not going to work, simply because we have only configured the URL in our app, not in our main project. So we also need to come into the urls.py here. First thing we need to do is to import include, and then we'll come here and say path for the home directory. It should include img.urls. That is our app.urls. Now we can cancel this. Let me just go ahead and open a new terminal. So in this new terminal, I'm going to run this my project. So let me say python manage.py run server. So now this should be up and running in some seconds. It's going to create a localhost 8000, as you guys can see, for this our project. So let me open my browser. Let me quickly go there and see what we have. So as you guys can see, we have this template. So let me just resize it. Let me reset. So as you guys can see, we have this good looking let me say HTML file that is rendered already. So this file is already Django tuned or Django tweaked. That's why it's already connected to all the static. Let me quickly show you guys. If I come into the templates right here in the index, you can see it already has load static, and then when it's getting all the HTML right here, you can see it's already static. So it's already Django configured, so we don't need to go and do that. And as you guys know, you can download all these from the link below. So let me just close these. Now that I have this running, what I want to do is to go ahead and start with my app. So I want to begin with user authentication. We want the user to be able to log in and sign up. So as you can see, this is just a dummy page yet. We're not signing up, we're not logging in a user. So we want the user to be able to create an account. Let's go ahead and do that. Before we do that, let's first create an admin page. So let me create a new terminal right here. I'm going to say python manage.py create super user. Now this command line is going to create, okay, no such table as auth user. So right now it's giving us an error, and I know why it's giving us an error. So we're going to take care of that in a bit because we've not run our migrations. For now, let's leave this like this, and let's come here into our views. So let's also do the views for the sign up. So let me just copy this right here. In the index, I'll say register, and I think we have it as sign up.html. So right here we'll say sign up.html. So once the user goes to /register, it should take us to sign up.html. But let's also come into our URLs and add that. So register views.register. Oh my, let's just views.register, and the name should be register, and let us forget to add a comma right here. So let's save this, and then let's go back to our project. Once we come to /register, you can see that we have this registration page, and we're also going to do the same for login, but for now let's stick to register. So what we want to do is to scroll up, and then we're going to come down here and say python manage.py make migrations. We don't have any changes, but it's always recommended to make migrations. And then let's say python manage.py migrate. So now you can see it migrates all our data, all our models into our database. So what I want to do is to come here. So Django gives us a built-in admin panel which allows us to manage our site. We can see all our database, edit our database tables, and plenty other things. So let's just go to that admin panel. we can go there by saying localhost/admin. So now it's going to take me to the admin page, telling me to log in. So as you can see, it's asking me to log in. But where do I get these login details from? I, as the creator of this site, I'm going to come into my command line interface or my terminal, and I'm just going to say python manage.py create super user. Now it's not going to give us an error. So let's wait for that command line to run. As you can see, it didn't give us an error. So let me explain why we had an error earlier. That was simply because we hadn't migrated all our models into our database. But now we have migrated it. So let's just scroll down and create a super user. We can name it admin, and then let's give it an email address of admin@gmail.com, and then let's give it a password again. Okay, created successfully. Now we can use that details to log in, and then let's just put the password. So now once we log in, we're going to see everything about our site. You can see we see users and groups. In users, we're going to be able to see the amount of people we have on our site that have signed up or registered for our site. For now, we will have only one person, which is the admin, which I just created. So now we want to apply user authentication. That means once a user registers here, the details should be added to this our users database. Let's go ahead and do that. So now that we have the registration table, let's close this, and then we have it in our URLs. Let's just come into signup.html. So right here, what we just need to do is to make sure that this input is a form, and the form is linking back to this registration page. So I'm going to explain that in a bit. So let's come down and then look for that form. Okay, you guys can see it's already a form, but let's just make sure that it is a post method. So we're going to say method should be equals to post. Nice. And then the action, I want it to be going back to this register page. So action is register. So now once the user clicks on this submit, it's going to take all these details and send it to our backend or our server side right here, and then we're going to get those details and then register the user to this table, if that makes sense. So let's quickly do that. Let's go back. So now it's a post method and the action is register, which is this function right here, register. Now let me just save. Let's make sure that each of these inputs have a specific name. So as you can see, the first one name is username, the second one is email, and the third one is pwd. I like naming my own password. So this is nice. And then we also want to add one more field, which is repeat password. So this is just to confirm that a user's password is the same. So we're going to have another field saying repeat password. So if a user puts a password like admin or something else, let me just see that. Once the user puts admin, we're going to have another field that's going to say repeat password. So if the passwords are not the same, it's going to throw the user an error. Let's quickly do that. Now I'm just going to copy and paste these like this and then paste. So I'll say repeat password. Let's change it to our password. The type is a password and the ID is our password, which is repeat password, and then placeholder, instead of enter password, let's say repeat password, and then the name should be password 2. So is this name we're going to be able to use to get whatever the user input in here in this our function. So let's switch back. Since everything is working fine, let's save. And then right here in our views, the first thing we want to do is to get everything which the user wrote in there. So we're going to use an if statement, and that if statement is going to get if there is any post method or any post request being sent into this page. So let's quickly do that. We're gonna say if request dot method is equals to post. So what this means is that you guys can see right here we said the method is post, and then it's sending a post method with all these details into the register page. So now I want to say if there is any post method being sent into this page, we want to get all those details. Now for us to get all those details, we're going to have to use the post method and then store them in a variable. So let's simply do that. We're just going to say the username should be equals to request dot post username. So now we want to make sure that this username that we put in here is the same thing as the name right here. Let me just quickly shift that. So this must be equivalent to this because that is what gets the user's input. So now let me refresh this page. Okay, we have 4. So we're getting username, email, password, and repeat password. So that should be 4. Let's just paste that. So let's say email, password, and password 2. So now I think the name for this is email, the name for this is password, and the name for this is password 2. So let's just go ahead and confirm. Email, username, email, password, password 2. So username, email, we have password 2. So now we have this. What we just want to check first is to make sure that a user made sure that these 2 passwords are the same. So I'm just going to say if password is equivalent to password 2, then we want to check if this email is already there. That means if someone already have this email registered on our platform. But before we can do this, we need to import some things. And what we need to import are these. We need to say from Django.contrib.auth.models now from this we want to import user and then want to import auth. So now that we have this imported, the next thing we want to import is messages. Now these messages which we want to import is what is going to show the user here that username taken or email taken or password not the same. So we're going to say from Django.contrib import messages. Now I think that's all we need to import. Since we have this, let's just make sure we have redirect imported because we're going to use this a lot. So now that we have that, this user that we imported right here is a Django model, and that Django model is this database which we have here. So now I want to check if the password the user puts is the same. After checking that, if it's the same, then the user has passed that level. The next level is to check if the email is already registered right here. If it's already registered, we're going to throw the user an error. But if it's a new one that is not registered, the user has passed the second level, and the last level is to check if the username is already taken or it's a brand new one. Very easy. Let's do this. So we're going to come down here. So after saying if password equals to password 2, we're just going to say if user dot objects dot filter email equals to email dot exists, Now this is going to check if this email already exists in the email field in our model. So if it exists, it's going to throw an error saying messages.info request, and it's just going to simply tell the user that email taken. So you're going to tell the user that the email is taken, and after doing that, it's going to return the user and redirect the user back to the registration page, back to register. But if, let's say, a leaf, to add another statement, user.objects.filter username equals to username. That means if username is already taken, we'll say .exists. So if it already exists, we're just gonna do the same thing. Let's just copy this, and then we're also gonna throw the user an error by just saying username taken. So this is just gonna tell the user that the email is taken or the username is taken. So if none of this happens, that means if the user password is correct, the same thing, brand new email, brand new username, then we're going to say else user is equals to user dot objects dot create user. Now this is going to create a user using these details. Username equals to username, email equals to email, and just the password. Say password is equals to password. So we just only want to get one password. We don't want to store the two passwords. It's just only this we need, or we can also store this, anyone, as long as they are the same thing. So now that we have all these, what we just need to do is to create this. So I'm just going to say user.save. And this is simply going to save the user into our database. So now anytime I add this semicolon, it throws me this error. But without this semicolon, it doesn't work. So sometimes Visual Studio Code can be a little bit buggy. I'm sure if you are using another code editor, it won't give you that. But let's just keep that. So now that we have this user created already, let's just redirect the user to the login page so the user can log in. So I'm going to say return redirect the user to the login page. Okay, I don't think we've created a login page for now, but that's going to be the login page. So all this was under if the password is correct. But if the password is not correct, that should be an else. Then you should know by now that we just want to throw the user an error saying password not match or something like that. So let's just copy, and then we come here, we paste. So we'll say messages.info request, we'll say password not matching, and then just redirect the user to the register. And then right here, let's just say return redirect to home page. So right here, if it's a post method, this is what we want to do. But if it's not a post method, we just want to show this. So we just have to say something like under this if, we're gonna say else. It will just do this like this. So this is what we need to do. So if it's a post method, that means if we're sending any details here, it should just do all this by creating the user. Else it should just show the sign up page. Now I think we can go ahead and test this. So let's come back here and then refresh. Nice. So let's use a new email, a new username. Let's do something like Tommy, and then let's say tommy@gmail.com, and let's give it a password of a random one. Now we click on submit. Okay, now it gives us this error. This error means CSRF token verification failed. So anytime we are using a post method to submit a form in Django, we need to add CSRF token. So I'm just gonna scroll up here immediately after the form tag. I'm just gonna say CSRF token. Save it like that. Now let me go back and then just input these details, submit. Okay, it says the same thing. That's because I didn't refresh this page. So now let's do it again. tommy@gmail.com, and then let's give it this and then click on submit. So now it says reverse for login not found. Now if you know, this means that it has already created this user in our database. But the reason why we are having this error is because if you come here, it highlights this line 27, which is return redirect to login. So let me quickly come here, line 27, return redirect to login. That's after the user has been created. So the user is created now, but the reason why it's giving us this no reverse match error is just simply because it didn't find a URL named /login. If we come into our urls.py, you see that we don't have any login URL yet. So that's why it gives us that error. But it has created that user. So when I come here and just refresh, you see now I have a new user named Tommy with these details, and it's not a staff. This staff means he or she can't access this admin panel, and that's for security purpose. So now that a user is able to register, let's make the login. But before we add the login and authentication function, let's make sure that this redirects the user to the login after being registered. So let's come here, login, and it's just gonna be views.login. Let's make sure we add a comma. You can save that. We're gonna scroll down, def login. It has to take a request, return redirect request login.html, which is this template which we have here, login.html. So now let's save it. Now let's go back to our registration page and refresh. Let's use a different username now. Let's say something like John, and then let's say j@g.com, and then let's use a password, and then let's give it same thing, and then let's click on submit. Now you can see it takes me back to this login, but it says reverse for this not found. It's not a valid view. Okay, let's come back now and see what's wrong. So views.login, it says login is not a valid view. So let's /login. This is what it shows us. Return redirect. Okay, it's supposed to be return render, not return redirect. So let's save it. But as you know, it would have created the new one which is named John, but we have to go back again and then test it. So the error was coming from here. It's supposed to be rendering an HTML page, not redirecting. Nice. So let's try it again, and let's just use random one like Gani, and let's say g@g.com. Let's give it a password. Now once we click on submit, it takes us to this register, to this login page. So that means the user has been created successfully, and it wants us to log in with the details we just created. So let's refresh. Now we see Gani. Let's come back here. What we want to do now is to check, what if this username is taken? What if the email is taken? We want it to show here, right? For us to do this, we have to come here into this our sign up. We have to tweak it right here. So what we just need to do is to add a little bit of styling to make it red. So let me show you what I mean. So let me see, it should be right above the below the register, I mean. So right here we should have div, and in that div let's have one styling, and in that styling let's say h5, which I guess we don't have in this template, and let's say padding bottom should be 10 pixels, just to give it some spacing on the below. So let's give it a color of red, since it's a warning or an info. And then after that, let's say h5. So in this h5 tag is where I want the warning to be. So I'm just gonna pass in message, and then this message comes from this view. So if I scroll up, remember that anytime there is a fault, that means if the email already exists, it says messages.info. It takes a request and then says email taken. So these messages is what is going to show up here as message. So it's supposed to be messages, but I'm going to use a for loop. Let's leave it blank like this for now. So I'm going to say for, let's give it percentage sign, for message in messages, and then let's just simply end the for loop. So as you guys can see now, for message in messages, that's why this is message. So this is simply saying it should just list all the message we have for the user. Nice. So let's just come back here now, refresh this page. Let me see, we have admin taken. Let's use admin. Now let's just use a random email, and then let's use this and also this, and then create. Now you can see it says username taken. That's because we use admin. And if we come here, there's no new user being created. It's still the old users. So that's how to catch an error. I think that will work for the rest, the email and the passwords. But now that we have all this taken care of, let's just go into the login. So let's go to /login. So now we want it that once the user clicks on this login page, let's say a user puts in the details, one of the details here with the correct password, it should log the user in, and then it should show something like welcome admin, or welcome Gani, or welcome John, or welcome Tommy, something like that. So we can just simply do this. We're gonna come back here. What we want to do is to go into views, then in our login, which we created, just as we got all these details using a post method, we're going to do exactly the same thing for login. So let's make sure we have login opened. Come down all the way down, okay, right here. So the action, as you know, should be /login, and then the method should be a post method. And remember, anytime we're using a post method, we add our CSRF token. So we add our CSRF token right there, and we need to make sure that these names are good. So name, username, I like changing mine to password. So that's nice. And once the user clicks on submit, it takes all this using a post method with the CSRF token covered, takes it to the login. So now once we take it to the login, let's go collect it here in the login. So as you know, we're going to say if request dot method is equals to post. What we just want to do is to say username should be equals to request dot post username. Let's just paste that and say password request dot post password. Nice. So now we just want to authenticate this user. So we're going to say user equals to auth dot authenticate. Now I want to authenticate the user using these details in which he provided. Username should be equals to username, and then password should also be equals to password. So now we're going to authenticate the user using his or her username or password. So now we're going to say if user is not none. Now what this is saying is that if the user is not none, that means if the user is actually available on our database list. So it says if user is not none. Now this not is the catch. If it says if user is none, this means that if the user doesn't exist. But now that it says if user is not none, that means if user exists, then we want to log the user in. So we'll say auth dot login request and log in this user, comma log in the user. And then once we've logged the user in, we'll say return. We want to redirect the user to the home page. Else, that means if the user is not here, let's throw a message. So say messages.info request, and let's throw the user and say something like invalid credentials. So invalid credentials, and then let's return the user back to this login page and show the user that the credentials are actually invalid. So login. So now if the method is not post, you know what I want to do, say else, and then we just simply render this HTML page only like that. So we save this, we come here into our login, we have to put that our messages. So we'll come here, let's just copy this div tag which we have. So right here under this, nice. So we can just make this uniform. Let's save that. So before we actually log in our index, I'm gonna do something. So right here on the, so before this, let's do something like welcome. So let's say welcome, let's put a comma, and we'll say user dot username. So this is just to, if a user is authenticated, that means if a user is logged in, it's going to say welcome the user dot username. That means the current username of the authenticated user. So let's just refresh this and try and log in as our admin. For a minute I actually forgot that. So let's see. Okay, it says invalid credentials. Oh, I really forgot that. I think I remember now. So admin. So now as you can see, that worked. It says welcome admin. So if I log in as John, it's gonna say welcome John. So now what we want to do is to go to the main point by getting the profile image of the GitHub user in which a user puts in here. So once a user puts in a GitHub user like Tommy Toko, which is my GitHub name, you can go check it out, just saying. So once a user puts something like Tommy Toko and then clicks on submit, it's gonna tell me that this user has been added to your list of images. So once the user comes to this image, it's gonna see that user part of the image. I just thought it was something fun to build, so let's dive straight into it. But before we do all those, let's change some things, like all these hyperlinks we have here. Let's go tweak them. So right here in our login, just gonna come up. So right here in the login, yes, once the user clicks on login, should just hash, nice. And then the sign up should go to the register, nice. Yeah. So in our sign up also, we're gonna come up. So it should be hash, and then right here you should go to login, nice. So now I don't think we need any of these again. Now in our index, we're gonna come up. So hash images, we've not created that for now, let's leave that. And logout, we've not done that. So before we go ahead and do the main stuff, let's add our logout function. That is the easiest thing to do right here. So I'm just gonna say def logout request. Yeah, so after doing this, it's very easy to log out. It's just like 2 lines of code. I'm just gonna say auth.logout. So this is gonna log the user out with the request, and then after logging the user out, we want to redirect the user back to the login page so the user can log in again. So we can save this now. Let's come into our URLs. Let's make sure we add that. Logout. Nice. So now once we come here, once the user clicks on logout, I should take the user to log out. Let's come here and test this out. Let's log out. You see now we logged out and it brings us back to this login page. Let's log in back as admin. Click on enter. Now I'm logged in back. So the logout function is working fine. So let's go ahead and do the main stuff. The first thing we need to do is to create our model where all this is going to be stored. So let me come to home. Right under here, we're going to have a new model, a new database table. We're going to name it, let's say like GitHub images or something like that. And then that GitHub images is going to have the lists of all the images in which every user has added. So let's go to that right here in our models.py. We're going to say class. Let's name it GitHub. I think we just name it GitHub. We'll say models.model, and then we want it to have 3 fields. The first one is the GitHub user, so let's do something like GitHub user. Let's just add it together. We'll say models dot character field with a max length of 1,000. I don't think it should have up to 1,000, but let's leave it like that. So now I want to have the image link. Let's give the link 10,000, and then the username. So what this is doing is that we're having 3 fields. That means, let me explain visually. So as you can see in this database table, we have 1, 2, 3, 4, 5 fields. This is a character field, character field, character field, character field, a boolean field. So as you can see, this is username, email address, and the rest. Right here we have 3: GitHub user, image link, and then username. So that's what is going to be here: GitHub user, image link, and the username. So we're just going to have 3, and then it's going to have the list of all the information we need. So this GitHub user is the GitHub user profile which you want to get and store, and then the image link is the link to the profile picture of that GitHub user, and then the username is your own username on our platform, so that we'll know the user which stored a GitHub user profile picture. If that makes sense, you're going to understand it in a bit. So let's just go ahead and continue. So now that we have all these, let's just def string self return self.fullname. Sorry for that, I'm too used to typing full name. So let's return the GitHub user. Let's save this, and anytime we make changes in our models file, let's make sure that we migrate it into our database. So I'm gonna say Python manage. Okay, let's just get that from here. So make migrations. Nice. So it has added the model GitHub, and then let's just migrate. Nice, it's migrated. We can close this tab. Now once we come here and refresh, we won't see it here yet. That's just simply because we've not added it into this our admin panel, but it has been migrated into our database. Now let's come here in admin.py. First gonna have to say from models import GitHub, and then here we're going to say admin.site.register. These have to be in small letters. Now let's register this GitHub model. Saved. Come here, we refresh, we're gonna have it there. So our page is not running, I think because we just made a change. Okay, let's see, it should be up and running now. Let's try to refresh. Okay, still not running. Let's see what's wrong. So what's wrong right here? Okay, no module named models. Okay, ow, that's line 2. From models, no. So it says no module named model. So let's see, I think it should be from dot models. Let's test it out and see if that is gonna work. Okay, that worked. So from dot models import GitHub. Now since that worked, let's refresh. Now you can see we have GitHub right here. It's always adding an S just to pluralize it. Let's leave that for now. So now we have this. We can add a new GitHub, the GitHub user, the image link, and the username. But we want to do this automatically. We want to automate it. Instead of us adding all this, we want the user to just be able to input the GitHub user username, and the rest is going to be covered. So right here now, we're going to use web scraping to do this. Let me just go back here, reduce this a little bit, and then close it. So we're going to use web scraping to be able to get the GitHub user's profile image. What I want to do right now is to come right here. So that should be in index, I think. Yeah, index. And I want to make sure that this input is a form. So I'm gonna come right here. So it's a form. The action should also be coming back to index, and then the method is post. Anytime we use a post method, we should know that we have to add the CSRF token. So that is nice. And then we just have one input, which is, let's see the name, GitHub user. Nice. And then the submit button. So we can save this. So now we want to get this, what the user inputted, right here in our server side. So I'm going to come all the way up to index. So I'm going to say if request dot method is equals to post. I'm just going to say GitHub underscore user should now be equals to request dot post GitHub user. So we're getting this GitHub user. I like confirming, so it has a name of GitHub user right here. Okay, right here. So let's copy that, go paste it to avoid any errors. The same thing, but yeah. So now that we have this, which is what the user inputted, we're going to use web scraping. So if you don't know web scraping, I have a crash course on web scraping. It's not that long, like a 10 minutes introduction to web scraping on my channel at Code with Tommy. So you can go check it out. You're going to understand the basic concept of web scraping and what it does. So, but I'm going to take you through what web scraping does right here. So what web scraping does, it gets let me say a detail from a site in an HTML format. So let me show you quickly. Let me quickly come to my GitHub page. So I'll say github.com/TommyTucker. Okay, nice. So now this is my GitHub page. Currently I don't have any profile picture. This is the profile picture provided by GitHub. Now if I go to developer tools, which is inspect, you can see that this picture is stored in this image tag with style of this, alt of this, class of this, src. So what we want to get is that once a user inputs a username here, let's say a user inputs TommyTucker as the username, we're going to send a request into this link, and then we want to get this tag. From that tag, we are now going to get the src, which is the source of that image. Then once we get the source of that image, we're going to store the link to that image and then other details so we can show the user. I don't know if that makes sense, but let's continue going. You're going to see how I do this. So for us to be able to perform this type of magic, if you think it's magic, we're going to come into our code. We need two Python libraries. These Python libraries are requests and beautiful soup. And request with an S. So we have what this library is called requests, but we need to install requests. So we're going to say pip install requests. And let's also install PS4, which is beautiful soup. So I have these libraries installed already on my computer. It's going to tell me requirement already satisfied. But for you, if you don't have it installed, you should just go ahead and install that. So as you can see, it says requirement already satisfied, which means I don't need to install it again. So let's close this. So now that I have this, I'm going to show you how to use it. Very easy actually. So I'm just going to come up here and make sure that we import requests. And then let's also import beautiful soup. We'll say from BS4 import beautiful soup. Let's import it as BS because beautiful soup is a little bit long to type. So let's import it as BS. So right here we have this GitHub user already. We're just gonna say URL, which is the URL we want to get, should be equals to https github.com/ let's concatenate with GitHub user. So github.com slash this GitHub user, which is the user a user puts. Now once we have that URL, we're going to send a request to that page. So say r equals to requests dot get URL. Once we have this, we're going to use beautiful soup now. Say soup equals to bs r.content. Now this gets all the HTML code. All the HTML code now is stored in this variable named soup. If I print this soup variable, you are going to see all the HTML code of this page, which is this URL. But I'm not going to print that now, but you can try that if you're following along in this tutorial. And now let's have a new variable named profile. So now this profile is going to get exactly what we need. So I'm going to say soup dot find. As I said, soup contain all the HTML code. So I'm saying from that HTML code, find an image tag. Yeah. But if we say find an image tag, I'm sure there are plenty of images right here. This GitHub icon might be an image. This one might also be an image. This might also be an image. So we want to give it more details. And then what we can do is basically just say the image tag which the alt is avatar. The image tag which the alt is avatar. Okay, let's make sure we have these. So the image tag in which the alt is avatar. So what we just want to do right now is make sure that everything is correct. Yeah, right here. Nice. So now that we have this, that tag is basically stored in that profile variable. So I'm just gonna come down here, and then we can add this profile variable into our database. So this will basically give us, let's say, all this HTML code, this image tag. But what we want to get exactly is this src, which has the link. So we're just going to specify what we need. We'll say src. So that's going to get us only that link. So now we have that link right here. So let's just print that link. You can say print profile just to make sure. Now let's save this. So once it runs, it should print the profile in our terminal. Let's say Python. Okay, our app is running again because we made some changes. Let's wait for it. Nice. So now let me come over here and then refresh. Let me input mine, which is Tomitoko, and then click on submit. Now once I click on submit, it brings me back here, but let's see what has happened. As you can see, it prints out that link, that image link, which I need. So let me just copy it like this and then go test it out. So now once I paste that image link here and click on enter, you can see it gives me this image, which is same thing as here. So now let's just come back. Everything is done. What we just need to do is to save it in the database. So we have, let's close this. We have the GitHub user. We now have the image link, and then we just want to have the user which sent this. So the user which sent this is obviously the current user, which is let's say user.username. Yeah. Okay, so we can also do something. Let me just show you another way. Right here in our index, you can see that we have these inputs. So we can also add another input. Let's give it a different ID. Let's just say user. And this doesn't need a placeholder. What it needs is a value. And what we are going to give it, we're automatically going to input the current user dot username, just to make sure that the username is the person which is currently logged in. And let's give it a name of user. So as you can see, if I come here and refresh, okay, no, we're not submitting the form. Let's just click on enter. Automatically it fills in admin there, which is the current user that is logged in. But I don't want this to show to the user, so I'm just going to change it from text to hidden. Save. Once I refresh, it's gone, but it's still there. Once I click on submit, that field which was just gone is also going to be sent to our back end. So now that we have that, we can just also simply collect it by copying and pasting these and just saying user equals to that by getting the user. Now that we have the GitHub user, the user which sent it, and then the profile link, let's just save it in our database. Before we can save, we need to make sure we have that installed. Say from Django, no, from .models import GitHub. Now from models import GitHub. And what we just want to do now is to save that in GitHub, in the GitHub model. So we're gonna say, I think we're gonna have a new variable, and then that variable is the one that is gonna save it. So we're gonna say new underscore GitHub should be equals to GitHub, and let's say we have 3 fields right here: GitHub user, which other field, image link, and username. So let's just copy and paste that. Let's pass for now, and then username. So now this GitHub user is this which was sent. Let's save it in the database. The image link is this profile. Let's paste it there. And then the username is this user. And then let's paste it there. So now that we have all this specified, we're just gonna say new GitHub dot save, and then after saving it, let's just redirect the user after saving. We direct the user back to this page. So let's save and then refresh. Okay, not going. Let's see what's up. Okay, we have an error. Image link equals profile. So the error is simply because we didn't add comma right here. Since it's a list, we need to add comma. Now let's see. We have no issues now. Let's just close that. And now we can refresh. So now once we click on a new GitHub user like Tommy Toko, let's say submit. It brings us back to this page. We don't know anything has happened. But when we come back here and click on refresh, we're going to see a new GitHub, let me say, table. A new data has been added to the table. Once I click on it, I have that the image link, the GitHub user, and the user of this our platform which requested for that. Now let's try it for another user. Let me look for one of my followers. I think I can close this right now. So let me look for someone following me. This is his name. And then I'm just gonna copy his username like this. And then right here, I'm gonna paste it and click on submit. So as you can see, it doesn't show that anything has added, but when I come here and hit refresh, it has been added to this our database. and with the link to his image. So let me copy that and open it up quickly so you guys can see. You guys can see now this is the image right here. So that's very nice, very nice. Let me just go back. So now what we just want to do is to first of all tell the user that it has been added. After showing the user that it has been added, we want that once the user clicks on images, you should see the list of image he has or she has. So we're gonna come right here. I think we can send it message. So after saving, we can now say messages.info request, let's say user image saved. We can save this. Once we come here, let me just quickly open up login and then copy up the messages div tag which we used right here. I can close that and just use it in my index. So where do I want to put it? Let me put it after the add new profile image, which will be up here. So in a new div, let me make it like an h2 so it will also be big, and then this should make sure it should be h2 and then h2, and I don't want it to be red, I want it to be green. Now let me save this and let's test it out. Okay, but yeah, refresh. Let me look for someone else. So now let's copy this and paste and hit submit. Now you say it says user image saved. This is very nice, but we can also make it more fun by saying user, then we'll click the input the username here and say image saved. So we can pretty much do that by saying user, let's close it here, concatenate, delete, and in between let me add the spacing here also. So say user, the GitHub user, yes, like that, user whatever image saved. Now let's save it and try again. First of all, let me come back and see that it has been added. Now let me go back. Emmanuel Alex. So let's just copy his page. Looks like he's pretty good there. So let's paste this. Let's make sure we have everything saved and let's hit submit. Okay, it says GitHub user is not defined. So let's see where this is going wrong. Okay. Okay, it should be GitHub user with this. So let's refresh. But if we come here and refresh, it's already added. So we have to move to the next person. Anyways, everybody following me, thank you so much for following me on GitHub. Yeah, I see this guy a lot. Thanks. So we can come back here and hit refresh. Now when we paste this and hit submit, it says user, I don't want to say the name because I don't want to mispronounce the name, but user this image saved. So now once I come here and hit refresh, it is saved with the link to his image, which is very nice. So now that we have all these details, what I just want to happen is that once I come to images, okay, I've not yet made the URL for the image. Once I come to images, it should show a list of images which I've already saved. That will be the easiest part. Let's dive straight into it. So I'm gonna come into my URLs, create new URL, name it images. Just quickly copy that, paste and paste. And then right here in my views, I'm gonna come down here and say def request return, I think, render, and then I want to render images.html. Now we can save this, and then let's come and add it there. So in our index.html, right up here, once the user clicks on image, take the user to images. So let's refresh. We have an error, or our site isn't working. Okay, yeah, I already know where the error is coming from. We didn't add a comma. Save, reload. Nice. We come back here and hit refresh. Now once we come to images, we see this image template. So as you can see, all these images are still dummy image for now, but I'm going to replace all this with everything we have here. So let's do that. Let me close this up. Right here in my views, what I want to do, I'm going to say, let me first get the current user. So the current user should be user.username. Okay, not it. So first of all, let's make sure we have the model, which is Github imported. So right down here, I'm gonna say Github, I think. Let me just put an underscore here to make it different. So I think that should be okay. So github.object.filter the one in which the username is admin. Username is equals to admin, like this. So this should work. So now once we have this, we have to make this dynamic. That means the username should be equals to whoever is logged in. So right now admin is logged in, this is going to work fine. But if we log in as another user, we want that user's username to be there, not admin. So right now this is static. We want it to be dynamic. We can do that by first getting the current user logged in. So once we get the current user logged in using our Python code, we're just going to pass it in there, and then it's going to get us a response from our database. Now this is very easy if you understand the basic concepts. So get current user logged in once again. Let's just do that. So I'm just gonna say user, let's say username, it should be the username. We're gonna say request should be equals to request dot user. As easy as that. So this is gonna get us the current user. So now just copy up this username equals username, and then we make sure we send this to the images.html like this. No, it should be a variable. Yeah, so like that. Then we can come into images.html. Where is that? Where is right here? And then what we just want to do, scroll down. So instead of having these static images, let's first make sure that once we refresh this page, it doesn't give us any error. Nice. So instead of having these static images, let me remove 1, 2, 3. Okay, so I'm just going to use a for loop and say for image in git underscore hub. Let me end the for loop right here. And for. So for image in git underscore hub, right here, I'm gonna say image dot image link with a small I. So this is what we need. Let's test it out. If we come here and hit refresh, let's see. As you guys can see, it shows me all the images which I have saved right here. Very nice. This is all I need. So let's try and add something. Let's say before this, we can also add a simple P. So let's close that and let's just say name. Let's just test and see how this will look. Okay, you can see it shows the name of the GitHub user beneath it. So we want to show the name of the GitHub user. That should also be easy. It should be something like this. So it should be image dot, I think, GitHub user. Let's check. Yeah, GitHub user. So say GitHub user. Now when we save this and come back here and hit refresh, it says Tomitoko, the first one, this name, and all these names. So now let's go back and add one more. As you can see, we have 1, 2, 3, 4, 5. Let's refresh this page. Let me search for one more person. Emmanuel Edward. We copy it, we add, we hit submit, and it says user tbones007 image added. And once we come to images, we see that it is automatically added. Now this is all that we need. And we can also add one more feature, which makes it that once we add a new user, it should show on top. So instead of when we add a new user, the user should be the last to show. We want the latest updated to show as the first. So we can just come here and say for image in GitHub reverse like this and hit refresh. You can see now that he is at the first. It's now in will I say ascending order or something like that. So let's go try it one more and we'll see that the new one we add is gonna be here. So we know that the first one we added was mine, which was Tomitoko, and like that. So let's go back. Let me look for one other person. Yeah. Wow, this is a good looking page. So let's add this. Hit submit. Now it says users need share image saved. If I come to images, you can see now that this image is here. Let's go there and cross check this image saved here. Now this is how you can easily do a simple web app using Django. So this is how we built a Python web app using Django. I just want to say we've come to the end of this tutorial. So I hope you really enjoyed it because I had fun building it. If you did, please don't forget to smash the like button and please subscribe. And if you have any question, drop it down in the comments. I'll make sure to answer all questions. Having that said, thank you so much for watching and bye for now.